my gosh, we made it, Megan. Thank you for being on Spark TV.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Amazing. And I was actually so excited to speak with you because, well, we've known each other, oh my gosh, so probably early scrunch days. So
yeah.
we met all the way back when you were influencing and doing all of those things, but your career and your business has evolved so much over the years. And that's particularly why I wanted to talk to you, because I think that it's so nice to hear from people that haven't, done things traditionally or had a linear journey, because I think you can kind of write your own script these days. So I love talking to people who have, been able to do that for themselves. But before I bang on about it, I would love it if you can kick us off by sharing with the Spark community, I guess, your business journey. So where you started and what you're currently doing from a business perspective.
I love what you said about writing your own journey, or making your own journey, your own path, because I feel like that is basically what I do. Like, my motto in life is just not to always stay relevant, but to always be hireable and always be on top of things that are happening. So you met me in the middle of my journey. So the start of my journey was in branded content at publishing houses Pacific Mags and Bauer Media, and I worked
I did
at
not
Qantas.
Know that.
Yeah, so my background was at Qantas magazine and doing all the digital content for them. And then I started the blog on the side, which was where I met you. So back in the day when blogging was cutting edge.
It wasn't influencing yet, it was blogging.
I can't even tell you how it blows my mind how quick everything moves. So my partner and I started Citizens of the World, which was a street style / travel blog / interiors blog, blah, blah, blah. And we went on this big influencer journey with that, which was amazing experience for, building content, creating revenue out of brand alignment, working with brands and seeing what they want and how influencers think. So I got heaps of experience there. But then we had a baby and we realized we're just getting a little too old for this, right? It's too much.
Influencers is a young kid's game.
This is the thing. It's not and I'll tell you, I've kind of evolved now, but it's the where we were and the traveling of it was just, we felt like we were sort of faking it a little bit. And so my husband and I had a really big conversation and we said, you know what, let's just do what we're good at. So my husband is really good at photography and I'm really good at writing. Yeah, I'm not really good, but I'm pretty good.
You are. But thank you for being humble.
So these days I work with brands or people figuring out their content pillars, what they want to, because you are what you share. So I help people figure out what they want to share in order to help them sell themselves or their business. And I also help people with their social strategy. And then I also just write. I just write for people now, which is nice. Yeah, sorry, that was a really long chat.
But that's it though, right? It's kind of I remember when I started a business, I didn't know that you were allowed to start a business. I went to school and I went to uni and got a corporate job. And then I just read this book that talked about business. I was like, hold on a second, you can just invent stuff for your life. What is this magic?
But I remember with Scrunch, you were so ahead of the times with it. So I think when I met you, you were working as the middleman between brands and influencers. Yeah. And I can't even, to people who are listening, you were one of the first companies in Australia to really do it professionally and properly. Yeah. So that's a huge achievement. And I understand the evolution because things have evolved so quickly.
Oh, totally. And it's really interesting. We've changed again. So, at Christmas time, we actually moved completely away from that agency world and we've gone total into tech and community because I'm looking at everything going, well, I think that's the future now. I don't, yes, there's so many middlemen now that I'm like, okay, what's next? How do we stay ahead and continue to change the game? So I love that. I just love that idea that you don't have to stay the same forever.
Yeah, I feel like you and I are kindred spirits. And you know what? I used to feel embarrassed. I had another influencer come up to me at a party one day and she came up and she goes, You know what I love about you, Megan, is you always just jump on the next cool thing and just do it. And at the time, I took that home and I was like, to my partner, I was like, that I'm so offended. But then I was like, I sat with it and I was like, I'm sure she didn't mean it nicely, but I went, there's actually a good thing about that, because there is something to be said for staying on top of things and trying to always learn about new stuff and evolve with the world. The world is always changing.
Well, I mean, I don't think you can even be in social media without always jumping on the next new thing, you know, like every couple of years we've got this new social channel that we've now all got to master, you know, and this year we're talking about NFTs and Web3, and it's like, what the hell? So I think if you're not staying on top of the game, you're probably going to get left behind. Like, I feel like, you know, there was this whole chat about tech startups, you know, like Uber came out and, you know, then that were like disrupting the taxi industry, and Amazon disrupting the book buying industry, whatever. And it's like, so all of that kind of happened. I'm like, I think we're on the precipice of that happening in some way again. So if you're not staying ahead of things, like, what do you think is going to happen?
That's interesting. Yeah. And, you know, I unfortunately work in an industry, the writing industry. We have AI breathing down our necks.
Oh my God, I'm just being targeted with ads for this.
Yeah. So, and in a way, I completely get why people would use AI for like pretty brainless kind of writing. But, you know, the writing industry will always, and content industry will always exist.
Yeah.
But my modus operandi is to like be like water and flow into where the gaps are and be like, okay, someone's got an AI there, but that AI is not going to build their content strategy. So I will help them with that, you know? Yeah. I just want to survive, man.
Well, you are doing far more than surviving. So don't stress. I think that the business strategy that you have is working. But I mean, how do you then marry up? Because it's interesting, I guess, you know, this is a business that you have created, but when you talk about your journey, it's very much a creative path. You know, you talk about words, writing, copy, you talk about content creation, talk about brand, such a creative lens. How do you find that skill set and marrying the idea of being in business? You know, before we hit, it's interesting because before we hit record, let everyone in on the secrets, you know, but we talked about the influencer industry and how a lot of people don't know that they're businesses. You know, they've got this creative thing that they do or this side hustle or hobby, and they don't realize they're in business. What's been your take on building a business around these kind of creative pursuits?
I feel that's a really good question. I feel like this generation, they didn't grow up, like we said, with like the agencies and magazines in that era. So they don't have that experience. However, there is so much more information floating around out there now than ever before. And I feel like this generation coming up are so clued in about their worth and knowing, and they are quite smart. Not quite smart. They're super fucking smart about you know, their value to companies. And I feel like maybe it's my TikTok For You page, but there's always constantly people coming up being like, know your worth, you know, this is, as a creator, this is your information. And I think, wow, that video has had like 3 million views, and that's like 3 million kids that have like learned that, or not 3 million, but you know what I mean? So in terms of the business side versus creative side, I don't know. I think I try and be creative with my business side.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And I use Notion to kind of make it a fun process for me to do a lot of the business admin stuff. So Notion is this, it took a little while to learn, but you kind of gamify your structure of your day. I also did a really intense business personal development course a year ago, and it did they practice a lot of this thing called extreme ownership, which I'm obsessed with. It's this concept that everything in your life, whether in business or personal, is sort of not your fault, but is you take responsibility. Yeah, everything ends and begins with you. So say if I had a bad experience with a client, I'd go away and go, okay, where did I go wrong in the processes here, you know, and take ownership of that. Because it can be very easy in business to go, oh, I've had a bad day, that's that person's fault or that's person's fault. Because if you structure your day right, you can always have a good day, I think.
Yeah.
You know, if you plan it. So
I love this so much. So I've just gotten goosebumps.
I think about a lot.
No, but it's amazing. And I think, so I think this funny thing is happening with Spark TV, where just as much as I'm getting to interview amazing founders and that's giving value to the Spark community, I'm hearing things that I need and people are coming to me. And one thing I've been doing lately, or I've been aware that I'm doing, is, you know, with the previous co-founder, there were some things that happened that, you know, maybe weren't ideal. And yeah, and I've been like blaming, and I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I've been blaming that person for, you know, why I'm not where I want to be. And you know, I guess you all, as a founder, I think you're never where you want to be, and you're always like chasing the next thing. But I was like, absolutely not, Danielle. You are responsible for everything that you do. You have complete control over your life. Stop blaming anybody else. Like, now is your time to thrive and do things your way.
I really understand that. And you get it. It's human nature, right? To go, well, they did that to me, and that's why I'm here. But the extreme ownership is actually a super empowering thing, because it feels counterintuitive to go, well, I fucked up here and I fucked up there. But it means if you can identify the bits where you've gone wrong, you can go, okay, well, I got myself there. I can get myself there. You know, it is a very empowering concept. But it took a while for them to drum it into me. Yeah. I've, you know, being a writer, I don't know. I've got an ego like everybody else, but once you crush it, it's good.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. I love that. And so speaking then of co-founders, so I know that so I'm not sure if you're still in business with your partner. I know you were, but how have you found that process?
We very quickly after doing this business course figured out that we needed to, because we're romantic partners as well as business partners, and in a way that is such an appealing thing for people to do, because why wouldn't you want to work with someone you love? But we found that it was just like any challenges that happened, it was impacting our whole relationship. And so we found we work so much better giving each other advice on our separate things, but not working hand in hand. And I guess it's a codependency thing. Like codependency sounds good on paper, but it's not. So you don't. It's just So I think
how did you get to that conclusion? Because so that's, you know, my background as well. So I was in business with my partner and am no longer. And
so you get it.
Yeah, totally get it. So I'm like, this kindred spirit thing. I don't know what's going on in this chat.
No, I feel you.
But went through that whole process of kind of going, stepping on each other's toes, realizing we needed to understand what we were really good at and own our spaces and not step on each other's toes. And then ultimately we parted ways, and not in business and in business together anymore. So I'm always super curious, because I've seen it work super well. Like I have seen other couples who have crazy, amazing businesses together, but I always tell a cautionary tale.
I think there's more cautionary tales than successful ones. And so I do tip my hat, as you probably do, to people who do it successfully. But it is just, I think for us, it was extremely painful. Like it was almost like the death of the relationship, or one aspect of it, because our whole lives were entwined as influencers. But it didn't feel good to quantify our relationship, or how many likes did that photo of us get. You know, it just kind of bugged us eventually. But I think, the process of breaking down that arm of the business was extremely painful. Lots of tears, crying, you know, but we always joke, we're laughing now, like we go through the anus of life, and that sounds really gross, but we kind of make a joke out of it. We're like, we squeezed through the anus of life and now everything's perfect. That we had to go through the tough time to get the shit out. And then
oh my God. I love that so much. But it's so true though. I heard another one like the other day where it's like people think that they shouldn't have problems. And it's like, no, if you don't have problems, you're not trying at life hard enough. You know, you're not actually trying to do anything. So I love that. I mean, you know, I haven't ever heard that expression before, but
I'm sorry. You know, I'm going to regret that. But you know what? That's a really good point. But, you know, about trying things, because a lot of founders or a lot of people before they even put themselves out there with the business sit and go, why me? You know, or they're scared of looking cringe or like looking like, how dare they try, or how dare, you know, who are they to put themselves out there? What I've learned over my experience sort of in front of and behind the camera working, you know, is people are going to judge you no matter what. If you're the nicest person in the world, they'll say you're too nice. If you're, you know, if you keep your head down and you're boring, they'll say you're boring, you know, and you might as well take control of your narrative and be like, okay, I'm in control of what people perceive me as, or I'm almost not in control, but people are going to like say what they're going to say no matter what. So what are you going to do? Live your life small to make other people feel comfortable? No.
Do you think, this is a random one for you, do you think that this is worse for women? Do you think that, I don't know, when you were saying that and you made that comment about the person that came up to you that was like, good on you, jumping on all the bandwagons. I was like, it's such a chick thing to say, you know? Sometimes, you know, I fall in and out of love with, you know, women in business, feminism, like these ideals, because, you know, I do usually have that philosophy that it is what I make it, and it doesn't matter that I'm a woman. If I want something bad enough, I will figure out how to get there. But I also don't want to discount the things that, you know, women go through. So I wonder.
It is a struggle. It is a struggle, and I do think we'd have a lot more challenges, because I think it is expected for men to, you know, to go out there and put themselves out there and be like, look at me, and beat their chest and you know, this is what I do. But you know what, I don't want to like genderize it. Like, it is just a very daunting thing to do for anybody to put themselves out there as a human, and you are putting your head on the block for people to go, you're too this, you're too that, you know. But I feel like a lot of founders do it because they can't help it. Like, I physically cannot help doing this, and I've worked for, you know, full-time at other in-house at places, and it's been great, but I always felt that little pull to go, you know, I need to do something on my own. I need to be creative. I need to do this. So it's people do it because they can't help it.
I love that. I know, as I reflect on because I'm now in a relationship with somebody who is not a business owner. And I reflect on my behaviors as a business owner and the working constantly and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't think I can help it. Like, I sit there and all I think about is ideas and wanting to do this and wanting to do that. And I'm like, I think it's just in me. I just can't fix it.
You can't help it. And I think that's why the comments, if someone does say something bad, you feel it a bit more than if you just were working for someone else. But that, I don't know, everyone has feelings, whether you work for someone else or you're a founder. It sucks to have people, you know, have opinions about you, but like they say, you know, other people's opinions doesn't matter. It's none of your business.
Yeah, and that's it. If we can control our opinions and just make sure we're kind to everybody, to make sure that we're doing well.
That's where extreme ownership comes in, because if my side of the fence is taken care of and I've, you know, my nose is clean and my calm is good, then whatever anybody says doesn't matter, because I'm living my life.
Yeah, I love
good,
that.
I guess.
No, I love that so much. So then, okay, well, tell me, So, with all of these things going on, obviously we need to look after ourselves a little bit. So there are, times where, things are overwhelming. Maybe somebody said something, maybe we're just not feeling like we're hitting our goals. Every founder goes through those moments of overwhelm, everything's too hard. Do you have practices or go-to things in your day-to-day or general business life that helps you?
Yeah, I have a lot. So I get up at 4 a.m. and I write in 2 journals, right? So I've got one of these is a positive journal and one of these is my business journal. So, and then I transfer everything I've written in my business journal into my Notion. But in my positivity journal, anyone can read it. Anyone can read it. It's like not like a Dear Diary, I hate this person. Anyone can read it, but it's embarrassing as fuck because inside it says things like, today I will achieve this. I am so good at this. I'm proud of myself for this.
I love that. Yeah.
But it's part of the process that I use in the morning to feel confident to go out and put yourself out there. So I do this thing where I write down my vision, my values, and my lifestyle. So with vision, it's like my vision for my life and what I want to do. My values are the things that, I value. Like, I like routine. I like security. I like, having money in the bank. I don't know, building my war chest. And then and then lifestyle is what I want my dream lifestyle to be. It's embarrassing. Please, no one break in and read my book. I literally have old versions of these in a safe in my house because I'm embarrassed.
Well, that's just forming the biography later on. So, historians will come back and take snippets. So it's all good.
It'll be my life sitting in an office behind my desk all day.
No, but I love that because I feel like, and it changes for me not all of the time, but I think what I wanted 10 years ago, what I wanted a year ago, I just feel like it's constantly evolving and optimizing. I think, what my values are, what I think is important in my day-to-day, how I want to work every day, what the goal is. I think it's changed a lot. I used to, going from corporate world to startup world or running your own business, I for a long time just did things because I thought you had to do it that way. Like you kind of
like what?
Well, just how I dressed, the hours I worked, how I addressed people, how formal I was, and then and like even staff, and I was like, okay, if you're all unhappy, I'm like, you're the boss, you're the person that gets to design this. And it kind of wasn't until I said, you know what, I want to work for a company that's fun. I want to work for a company that, I have a wine on my show, I, interview people over a wine because I'm like, we work so hard and so long. If I can't have a wine with you, I don't want to work with you. So I kind of but it took me such a long time to get there. And it wasn't until I actually went through that process that I kind of figured out, what was important to me and I kind of gave myself permission to make those changes. So I actually love the practice of continuously writing things down because it's almost what helps you consolidate your thoughts and go on that journey.
Do you meditate in the mornings?
I do not. I do yoga. I meditate when I do yoga.
Oh, yoga's good. Yoga's awesome. I can't do yoga. I struggle. But yeah, meditation is such a good, I kind of do but my version of meditation is I think you're meant to sit there and keep your mind clear. And what I do is I sit there and I think about my dreams and my goals. Yes. And so I like in the morning, I'm like, okay, how do I want my day to go today? And imagine, I actually do the day in my head sometimes.
That's cool.
Because I'm weird. But
I do that when I can't sleep. So if
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So if I can't sleep, what I do is I go, okay, that's okay. We're not worried about this. What we're going to do is we're going to use this time to design the life and see the vision and all those things. So if I'm ever lying awake in bed, I go, stop thinking about that problem. Let's spend this time in the creative. And I find that really helps actually. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess so
Fully
maybe that
does.
is my meditation. I just do it at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And something you said like 5 minutes ago now, but you mentioned war chest, and I want to go back to this because for anyone watching, they may not know that we have a book coming out, and I have invited my favorite female founders on the planet to contribute. And I know your segment mentioned war chest, and I want to know what that means for you.
I love my war chest. I love talking about it. I love thinking about it. And
This is
it's
so
not
cool.
just because it is not because I'm like, even though I like money, we all like to live and do stuff. But for me, the war chest symbolizes freedom. And that's why I think we all get into being founders anyways, because we don't want to work for someone else. We want to do our own thing and follow our passions. The war chest is, you might have heard the practice before, is pay yourself first. It's that in action, but you give it a really hyperbolic name like war chest because it kind of spurs up like feelings of I'm at war with something, but not in a negative way. Like I'm just prepared. I'm prepared for anything that happens. I'm prepared. So every time I get an invoice paid, a percentage of that goes straight to my war chest. No bills get paid, rent doesn't get paid, credit card doesn't get paid. It goes war chest first. And what that does is psychologically in your mind prioritizes your time. So you go, this, I'm a priority and my time is a priority. And even if you just get paid, it starts with $50. Mine started with $50.
Yep.
And it's pretty big now. And so what that does is if someone comes to me with a project that doesn't align with who I am, or not who I am in an ego way, like if I don't think, I used to back when I started my business, and a lot of people will relate to this, is I took every job.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Oh yeah.
even if I didn't think that I was going to be great at it, I was like, I'm going to take it and do the best I can.
I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. Yeah.
And what happened is I got really stressed and really anxious because I was like, okay, I've got to do this. Now I've got to think of this, and now I've got to do that. And the war chest allows me to go, okay, I might send forward that client onto another writer that I think is better for them. And I won't feel anxious about doing that because I have my war chest and I have this. It's kind of like some people call it the fuck you fund, but it's not. That's for like if you're working for someone else and you don't want to work for them. For me, the war chest is, and also I use it for things like courses that I want to do. So anything related to my business, it's just a freedom thing. And it is the best thing I ever did. I'm not stressed anymore. And that's just because I pay myself first. And
that is so good. I think people don't do that. I think they think about, I just don't think people plan their money effectively either. It's one thing I see a lot is people not being prepared for, say, a tax bill or something like that. And I kind of go, I think you think, oh my God, someone paid my couple of $1,000 invoice. Yes, I get to go out and do this thing. And it's like, well, no. So some of that goes to the tax man, some of it goes to the expenses, some of that goes to here. But siphoning off a portion for a war chest to actually be intentional about building your business, I think is genius.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things I learned through this course I did was money is energy. And as a creative, I feel like I grew up with like, oh, you're a creative, like you don't care about money. But no, I do care because it allows me to be more creative. So money's energy. So I do tell my money, I'm like, every time an invoice gets paid, I'm like, thank you, I'm so grateful. Or if I pay someone who helped me with something, I'm like, that money's going to come back to me 3 times, like I'm just very grateful for the money that comes in. I'm not desperate, but I'm just like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that client. I appreciate that invoice. And because then the more energy you put out of appreciation, the more work comes in. And that sounds really hippity dippity, but ever since I started practicing that, business has been good. So.
And it's interesting too, because someone once said to me, because often people who help other people or like charities or social impact tend to think that they shouldn't make too much money. And someone once said to me, why should doing good and making money be mutually exclusive? And they were like, the more money you make, the more good you can do. So I just love the idea of reframing what money means to you. And I love how you said more money means I can be more creative. It literally means I can, bring more creative energy into the world. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And if I hire somebody, that's like, that money is helping someone else. Like I might hire another person to help me on a big project. That's someone else getting paid. Like, it's just good. Like, it just feels good to, to appreciate your value and like the value that others give to you. It's so funny. Reason I'm going on about this is because I never really was intentional about how I felt about money, or I had a money story.
Yeah.
And I put a limit on how much I could earn. I said, well, I'm only worth this much a year, or this is what I think I can earn. And then when I started going, no, I want to make this much per year, psychologically and subconsciously, your brain starts to come up with ways to make that money once you set a high goal. So it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. And I love, a lot of the things that we've talked about today has been intentional. So how to be intentional with your business, your life, your values. It's all interlinked. As much as, sometimes you want to separate business and personal, I think it's all related when you're a business owner. I don't know if there's any getting around that. And you need to, I think, have the two aligned. But if you don't dedicate the time to really unpack what that means to you, you're kind of doing yourself a bit of a disservice.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's, it's very interlinked, personal and business.
So if somebody was watching this starting out, they were either very early in their journey or questioning themselves on taking the leap into starting their own business. And, I'm sensing themes here today, which I love. But do you have any advice or thoughts for somebody where if they're hesitating to just get started, or they've started and things haven't quite translated in the way that they think it should have?
I think advice, I would probably I'd probably learn from my mistakes in a way. So my big mistake in business, I would say, is trying to do what I thought was the right thing to do, or what society thought I should do, versus being authentic to who I am. Because I think when we start a business, like you said, I dressed a certain way or I acted a certain way. But the success for me has come when people can tell that I'm just being myself and being authentic. Yeah. Ironically, when I stopped trying to be what I thought, was successful.
Yes.
I just became successful. And I know that's cliche, but take the time to think about what makes you unique. And that is your biggest selling point. The fact that you went through all that with Scrunch, the early iterations, like as an agency, and then where you are now, that's your superpower, because the inner workings of agency life, and now you're able to take that into something else.
Yeah.
So I think, being really honest and true to your story and going, this is who I am,
You know why I love that? I love that because I feel like if you're going to go into a business, you need to think about it as like a 10-year exercise. It's not in 1 year, I will have hit all of my dream goals. I'll have my dream house. And absolutely some people do. So that's good. And go for that. That's fine. But I feel like you need to design a business around a long-term, like I'm going to be in this for a while. And I just feel like if you don't love it, and if it's not giving you energy, and it's not aligned to what you believe in and your values and your authentic self, man, that's hard to get out of bed for every day.
So hard, but people can feel it. People can literally feel it coming out of your body through the screen. And so that is why I think a lot of influencers, you do end up evolving, because, people do change and they do evolve. And I think the most honest thing you can do is change and evolve. Sometimes, there is a school of thought that you should niche down in your business or in your content or anything. You should niche, and that's it. Take a bit of a different approach, and I'm like, no, the honest thing to do is to just be a flow and go, okay, I'm into this, and now I'm into this. And people are relating to that more these days than just a single niche.
Yeah, something related. The biggest lesson I've just learned is you can do it your way. You don't there's so many things that's niche down, or it's all about reels, or it's all about this, or it's all about this. And I'm like, no, there is a success story for every different strategy, for every different business, for every different path. So do it your way.
Yeah, do it your way. I think that's the motto of this whole interview is,
oh my God, I love that.
I think that's been the biggest realization for me is going, this is how I'm going to do it. And the people who resonate with my business and how I work will come, and those that aren't in alignment will go to other people who are right for them and perfect for them. But yeah, it's just, maybe that's just being in my mid-30s. It's just Zen.
I love Zen. I mean, we need to bring more Zen to business, I think. That's phenomenal.
God, that's the holy grail, right?
My new strategy for 2022, Zen.
Yeah, I know.
I love it. Well, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for spending your time with the Spark community. I know anyone dialing in, I mean, just sitting here right now, I feel better about my whole life. So
yeah, that's what I aim to do.
And look, we'll share all of the things about you. So if anyone wants to connect, they can. But I just want to say how grateful I am for you spending your time with us.
I am extremely grateful, and thank you for squeezing me in at 2:00. You are an angel.
Anytime.